Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spike Pit. You know, I've got these like little NPC cards that I use. They're just note cards with randomly generated keywords that I've taken off of the Maze Rats systems tables, and I find them really inspiring. So I sit and craft these little cards. It's almost for me like a meditative process. It put me in mind of something Tim Shorts said about his map making. In addition to the maps, he does these like micro adventures and NPC cards. I think they're super sweet. The way he's got these lovely little full colour illustrations, he stacks them all out, and they look really slickly produced. So if you're someone over there in the States, you know, I'd say that's well worth chucking him a couple of dollars or whatever it is to get in on his Patreon. Snag yourself some of them nice NPC cards. He puts a little description down the bottom and a bit of a story background for them. But yeah, I think they're really great. Yeah, so I make mine just to kind of keep my consistency and keep the inspiration from my NPCs fresh in my mind. I enjoy that. There's a lot of creative stuff goes on in the OSR and tabletop gaming, and I know the OSR anchorites out there are a pretty creative bunch on the whole, and they're always seeming to produce stuff kind of creative and consuming at the same time. But I think there's a balance that goes on. The consumption is something that I'd like to dial down a little bit, and the creativity bring on more. I mentioned to Tim Shorts at Gothridge Manor that it inspired me a little bit, quite a lot with his talk of his endeavours. And so I dusted off my old rotary and isograph pens, which was my main drawing tool, along with pencils, back in the day at art college. And I've been getting back into doing a bit of mapping, and I've been trying to revisit some of my old ideas, and it got me thinking how a lot of things in life, we seem to go in big circles. We do something for a little while and things get pushed to one side. And for me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, I go in these big circles that maybe take years and come back to where I was in the first place. Where do people get their inspiration? For me, it just kind of really does just pop out of the blue. When you're in the shower, or you're not really, or you're just drifting off to sleep or something, and you're not really thinking about something else, maybe an idea you think about suddenly gets that really strong clarity, and you know exactly the answer, or you know exactly the action to take, and everything just seems to fall into place. And for me, that's then followed up with a kind of an almost manic blast of output or industry towards a task. And then almost as quickly as it appears, the energy just kind of dissipates. And, if I haven't quite finished something, I can be left floundering. I've learned over time that is perhaps the time to stop, put it aside, and then wait for the next flash of inspiration. I rarely have any results with trying to push or force ideas. I'm not saying I just like drop things willy-nilly. I try and work at something and stick it for a little while and try and focus and be disciplined. But every now and then I think you just feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. So I'll just stop, and then the flow comes back. But sometimes in a bad scenario, it can go on for a long time. If I allow it to, that can be quite disheartening.
Less consumption and more creativity, that's kind of been something I've trying to do lately. I keep promising myself to quit back in Kickstarters and so forth and just focus on stuff. That doesn't seem to work. As far as where does creativity come from, I'm not sure where it comes from, other than anything I've ever seen or done in my life somehow filters in. But the creativity can be fleeting and just disappear. And how do I deal with a block? Well, just power through. That's the only way I know to do. Sometimes you just have to walk away from it, and the last minute it'll pop into your head.
The other thing I mentioned, I've been back doing a little bit of mapping. Yeah, that's also a meditative process for me as well. I really liked my art back in the day. It was kind of something I started drawing and stuff when I was really young, and drew and painted all through school. I went to art school, did my degree, went more into furniture design and making furniture and one thing and another. I always regret I never did fine art, because I really love painting. It was difficult to find work. As a furniture designer, you need to be sort of really well kitted out. I wanted to make my own stuff. I wanted to make like speculative pieces, and the only way you could make any money was to kind of do commissions for people, and they always wanted things that I wasn't interested in making. So that's a bummer. I'm a bit of a free spirit. I just want to do what I want to do. I was forced and encouraged is the better word, to get a proper job. So I had to sort of shelve my aspirations as an artist. I ended up going into construction. Not much of a creative outlet there. All this role playing and getting back into mapping is just really a nice little creative outlet, and I'm going to take it more and further. I want to try and push the boundaries of it a little bit more, because I just find it really rewarding. Really, this anchor and throwing the odd thing on G+ every now and then is really my first, other than degree shows and little exhibitions of work and stuff. This is really my first time I've been getting anything out to the wider community. So yeah, I think you've got to do that. The feedback you get is invaluable, and just good fun, isn't it? Anyway, I've rambled on. So I'll give your ears a rest. I'm gonna bug out. Take it easy. Look after yourselves. See you around.
One of your earliest topics is around nostalgia. It's curious to me that you included in the same podcast that you discuss creativity in. In some ways, those seem like two sides of the same coin. In one, you're getting pleasure out of creating something that has never existed. And in the other, you're getting pleasure from something that will always be with you.
I fell into a spike pit. Oh yeah, a spike pit. Oh, a pit would have spikes in it.